Well, as you can see, this is the script that I'm going to be writing upon in a couple of days, talking about one team that performs so bad at an international tournament that it becomes like too obvious, too noteworthy, too niche to be even talked about in the grand scheme of things. Now, as you notice, this is a really long script. So many words, so many writing, so many all this kind of stuff. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I should do like a scripted thing. It might take an hour or two to like talk about it and all this kind of stuff. And then I slowly realized something. I am a guy who doesn't do scripts. Now, yes, some people do for like content and money and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine, of course, but I am more of an improviser. So, I thought about it last night. I put up a lot of tabs on my Chrome, and I've realized instead of just doing a little bit of scripted thing that might take about, let's just say, an hour, 2 hours, and people be like short term memory loss and all that kind of stuff, and their minds are not great, I decided, you know what? Screw the script. We're going to do something else. Now, as you can see, these are doormats. So many doormats. Now, you're asking yourself, Hakeem, what does this have to do with the team that you're talking about? Patience, my brother. Doormats are pretty much easy to set up. You just, grab a mat, put it down anywhere in the house. I have one in the living room. I have one outside. You have one in the kitchen. You have doormats like everywhere. Doormats are pretty much useful for so many things, like when you step on water, or you step on mud, or you step on feces, or anybody else. You use that doormat, and that is helpful to make sure that you don't get like mud stains or dirt in probably like all the other areas other than outside. And I think these doormats also symbolize something, that you are stepping on it. You're confused, I get it, but you place a doormat down and you step on it, you rub on it, you rub your foot on it, you step on it so many times, you step on it day and night, on, up and down the floor, all this kind of stuff. And if you're a doormat, you just feel helpless. You just have nothing to do about it. You just keep getting stepped on by every single thing that is happening to you. And that, my friends, is how we're going to tell the story of one esports organization named Top Esports. The proverbial doormat of all of League of Legends. For whatever success they have domestically. Few domestic titles, of course, not as great as RNGs or EDG, but they have few success in domestic places. For all the domestic success, and for some of the international success as well I said some, not all, the problem with this team is that they are getting stepped on by every single team that went on to go do great things. They were just a doormat for all the teams that have won. Why do I have to explain this? Well, it's time for me and you and everybody else to come along with me on a journey to talk about this doormat of an esports organization. This is not a legacy of failure, although a part of it will be failure. This is more like a journey into why this org is like this and how it may come to be. If you like the video, please like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff before we do everything else. And I'm asking everybody, if you can, that would be a good job. Okay, what am I talking about? Okay, let's just move on. So let us go back all the way to 2017. And there are our friends, Top Esports, with a little bit of a logo, of course. It's a knight-esque kind of thing with a little shield, of course. The shield will be like, the mainstay for that logo for us all of their iterations. But, you know, this is the first team, of course, Top Esports, and they played in the Demacia Championship. Now, anybody who don't know the Demacia Championship pretty well, it's simple. This is the preseason tournament for all the LPL teams. You may throw some new LPL players in the mix, or, you know, mix it up with some old ones, you know, to get some reps and all kind of stuff. So this is kind of like the preseason tournament for the big season come next year, of course. And Top Esports, in their first year of existence, after they got acquired by a athletics company, wanted to have their hands in esports, so here they are, Top Esports, and their team is kind of meh. I don't know most of the teams. Lies, Double X, G Gone, Quee, Cat. It's a bad team. It's really not a team that you wanted to like look up and say like, "Whew, this is a really great team." This doesn't feel anything. So they did okay in this tournament. They were in the playoffs. Actually, no, they're not in the playoffs. Oh, there they are. They were facing off against the Joy Dream, the JDG, you know, academy team. And, of course, they slapped them 2-0. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool at the time. Unfortunately, they lost to Sunin 2-1 in a really, let's just say, close series. And this has been, like, you know, the theme throughout all of Top Esports time. Every time they have an opportunity to do great, they've always been placed as doormats for the other team. In this case, it's Sunin. But let's remember, Top Esports is just like a brand new team. You know, not many people have Top Esports coming into 2018 and new League of Legends to do well. So let's see how they do well in the LPL. 2018 spring, and as you can see, they are nowhere to be found. In fact, if you wanted to go even further, they finished virtually dead last with VG Gaming. Huh. Okay, Akeem, what's wrong with this team? What's wrong with this team? Let me just look at the lineups. Jeez. Well, the only player that is of note is Marin. And I think Marin, if I clicked on him, he used to be Team Liquid's coach. So at least he got that going. But other than that, Karen, Corn, Kyogyo, Cat, Jesus. Same bot lane, same Chinese bot lanes. It's pretty much a forgettable team. And it shows with a 3-16 record. Christ. I mean, VG Gaming in their conference, and by the way, they split 14 teams into 2 conferences, of course, at the time. So, Top Esports were the worst in their conference. VG Gaming is even worse in their conference, and that's the reason why they're bottom half. No playoffs for them. Pretty disappointment in all around. So, what will the next season be? Maybe the next season will give them more optimism. Oh! By the way, if you notice that RNG, you know, they were in Top Esports group. And they managed to beat Top Esports in probably twice on occasions. Maybe Top Esports got a few wins. I don't know. I don't look at that much. But Top Esports were being placed by RNG as doormats. And RNG just stepped on it, rolled on it, and all kinds of stuff. En route to win an LPL title for Uzi. And to win their first MSI title. Uzi's only international title he won. So it goes to show you that Top Esports, even though they're not as competitive, are kind of like the stepping stone of so many legendary teams to help them. But listen, Top Esports were never good. They were kind of crap. You know, it's a bad team. 3-16, not great. So let's see how next season does. On to summer. Okay, they're better. 6th place, not bad. Sadly, no worlds for them, but it is what it is. And if you look down at the bottom, let's see how this team is placed. Okay, they replaced the top laner. They kept the same team as usual with Corn, but I'll say They did finish third in their conference, beside EDG and Rogue Warriors. And they are through to the playoffs for their first ever time ever. Their first playoff appearance as an organization. This is great. So how do they do? Well, they kind of eke out Sunin 3-2 in a very close series. And it was a really close series. And you notice that back then, at the time, they were given a 1-game advantage. And then Sunin managed to win 2 games in a row. My lord. That was something else. And then they managed to win the last 2. So they won the first by technicality standards. And then they lost the first 2 and then won the last 2. So by technicality standpoints, it was a 3-2, but it wasn't feel like a 3-2. It feels like you play all the matches. It felt like a 3-2 with circumstances. Unfortunately, they were not lucky against RNG. No, they weren't. And they got absolutely beat. 3-1 the scoreline. They didn't manage to win a game by Triple X, who playing decently on Sejuani. But unfortunately, it was all RNG. And that was the time when RNG was going to go on the road. And they lost to G2 in the quarterfinals. Yep. So that was RNG's dominant season. And unfortunately for Top Esports, they were like stepping stones of the team. They were not good, and it shows. So it ended 3-1 in favor of RNG. They're going to Worlds, and Top Esports in their first year is not. But hey, listen, you finished 6th in your first year. You gained points. You didn't go to Worlds, but at least you did something. So, on to the next season, 2019 spring. And you notice that they have a new logo. It's supposed to come up, Akeem. It's supposed to come up. Okay, maybe we'll just go down and just see the new logo. This is what happens when I open too many tabs. Oh no, the logo. Oh no, they still have a crappy logo. Oh well, let's see how the lineup does. Maybe the lineup changed, of course. And would you have noted the lineup did change? And oh my goodness, this lineup is familiar. Well, the rest of the team is not. Loken and Ben, Korean, AD carrying support, pretty important in these times. But you notice the 2 names. Beside XX in the jungle, you got 369 and Night 9. Which, by the way, if you haven't noticed, changes his name to Night. And I feel like these 2 are the most important players on this Top Esports team. And he was phenomenal with Night. He was incredibly phenomenal in his first year. Hell, he even won a lot of group stage MVPs. 12 in all. En route to maybe the second team? Yeah, he and 369 were like all second team all-pro. Showcase how brilliant they are. Both players come from academies, and they showcase their talent, and it was pretty good. In fact, they were pretty good to finish 3rd place in their group, 11-4, beside Invictus Gaming and beside the FPX. But hey, 3rd place means they're in the playoffs, and with these 2 new good players, maybe they can show off and be a great team. Maybe win the whole thing. They beat Sinnoh Dragon Club 3-0, pretty convincing. Unfortunately, they got clapped by our Invictus Gaming. Yeah, they got beat by Invictus Gaming by 3 games to 1. And you notice that this Invictus Gaming, of course, won a World Championship the year before in 2019. And that has a shining rookie, Jackie Love, Balloon. Remember Jackie Love later. And that team was really, really hot. So to lose to them is not as horrible. They finished 4th because they didn't win against FPX. Remember that team later, of course. And Invictus Gaming went on to play in MSI. Unfortunately, lost to Team Liquid of all teams. But at least you can say that with Knight and 369, they look like a formidable force for all an eternity. Well, not eternity, but they look like a formidable force going into the next split, which is 2019 summer. Okay. So 2019 summer. As you can see, Lots of new things, of course. And, of course, if you notice that the format kind of changed, it's a one big, large table of a best of three table, which is going to be useful for, like, all tournament long until, like, summer of last year. So keep that in mind. Top Esports finished second, beside FPX. Remember I told you about the FPX team that I mentioned about later? Well, this FPX team has some fun names. Gimgun, Tian, Doinby, LWX, and Crips. We'll talk about Tian later on. But hey, when you're in era when Doinby was dominating, you can't do nothing. But this Top Esports is not bad. Also, they changed their new logo. Incredible. In fact, they even changed their name, Top Sports Gaming, which is now changed to Top Esports, and they got a new logo to show with a beautiful shield and a T in the middle. Beautifully done. Same lineup, and they improved massively with a magnificent 13-2 record. Holy! Now that actually 12-2 record. They were behind 13-1 for FPX. Sorry about that. But they're in the playoffs at the best seed and into the semifinals of that particular round. So they're just one step away from making the fall. No. They got clapped by RNG. Yeah, they got clapped by RNG. Uzi was okay. Yahoo, Kaiser. Yeah, the RNG team was stacked by then. So, okay, you lost to a really good RNG team that has Uzi, Kaiser, and Yahoo at the what are they going to do? At least they finished third. At least it beat BLG to finish third. Remember BLG later on. At least you finished third. That's not bad. And what did that do? And what has that done to the standings? Well, they pick up enough points to earn a regional spot. Now, to notice the regional spots is pretty much easy. And yes, I'm sorry that I kind of spoiled the ending for you. Top 4 teams, based on their regional points, are going to play in a gauntlet at a time. And the last team standing or the last 2 teams standing will qualify for Worlds. So Top Esports are there, along with IG and JDG. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, Akeem, all you have to do is to beat, the Shy, Rookie, Jackie Love, and Kanavi, Yagao, Lamau, and you're going to be through. How hard can it be? Yeah, that hurts. It was a back and forth series, of course. Rookie was a beast. IG won that series 3-2 and qualified for Worlds instead of Top Esports. And to make the matters even worse, that Fun Plus Phoenix team that I mentioned about, that team, they went on to win Worlds. They went on to win the whole World Championship. Right there. See? Right there. Besides G2, which at the time were the best Western team to never win Worlds. So that Doinby team, and of course the new logo, of course, that Doinby team uses Top Esports as pretty much a doormat towards its success. So far, we have RNG uses Top Esports as a doormat to win their LPL and MSI, and FPX uses Top Esports as a doormat. Well, not much of a doormat. They didn't face them or beat them. But they were going through in spite of them. Same thing with IG, en route to their 4th place finish. So without Top Esports, if Top Esports would have gone there, maybe it would have been different. I don't know, but so IG just uses them as a doormat. So yeah. Following season, come on, Aki. Following season, positive stuff. 2020 spring. Oh boy, it is. It was not a pretty one, to say the least. Now, before we talk about it, you have to understand that COVID happens, and it was a mess. The whole year was a mess. But let's just talk about Knight, who performed incredibly well in the playoffs and in the group stage regular season. Again, so of course he dropped the 9 to become Knight. Makes sense at the time. And despite the fact that Top Esports finished 11-5, besides FPX, the defending champion, JDG, who were pretty decent. Let me see what the JDG lineup. Okay, wow, soon. same lineup, of course. And of course, you got Invictus Gaming, the same with the Shy. So they finished below 3 really good teams at that time. But despite all of that, they managed to make it into the grand finals by beating top team WE, and then Invictus Gaming 3-1, and then they have an absolute barn burner of a series in which Top Esports were leading 2-1 in that series. And it was incredible. It was probably my favorite matches of that year at that time. And I didn't know how significant that match, how important that match was, because, as I said, COVID really did a big number on them. And no fans, no audiences. The atmosphere was kind of dead. And for a matchup like this, it was really incredible. And they were leading 2-1. It was all right in the world. And then JDG, being the clutch teams that they are, win 3-2 with Lamau Bald playing absolutely out of his mind to win that series. If you want, you go watch the entire series or go watch the highlights. It was phenomenal of stuff. So, JDG, with that win, have qualified for the mid-season invitational. Unfortunately, as you can see, there was no MSI. As I mentioned, there was no MSI at the time, and it says beginning on the 28th of May this year, the top 4 teams in the LPL will face off against the top 4 teams in the LCK in the mid-season cup, with the stars showcasing League of Legends talent and epic matches, blah blah blah. Basically, MSI got cancelled. They wipe it out. They probably have no choice, and the mid-season cup is born. And they wanted to have an international tournament or something instead of waiting for 6 more months to play a game. So they make up the mid-season cup. They put they put LCK teams in Lowell Park, LPL teams in Shanghai. And of course, they had to do a ping thing, but that was pretty much out of necessity. And it was kind of like a Mickey. I'm not saying it's a Mickey. It was kind of like a Mickey Mouse tournament. Although I can understand why they have to put the tournament in, but it kind of feels like it's a kind of a nothing burger. And despite all of that, Top Esports won. Oh my goodness gracious! It is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. 369 was amazing. Karza was amazing. Yujan was coming into the lineup, and they pick up Jackie Love. Hello. And he will be integral in the story later on, of course. 369 Knight, Jackie Love. Oh, that is a lineup to sing, and it shows. As they finished second place in the group behind Fun Plus, but they eliminated all of the LCK teams, including T1. Alright, doesn't bother me. And Damwon Gaming, who, by the way, I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but bigger things will come. And of course, they defeat Toppies and defeat Genji, who at the time were kind of not there to be in upper echelons, of course. And then they crushed Fun Plus Phoenix, the last year's champions, 3-1, thanks to Karza, brilliant performance, and Khan, who got 1 MVP, and of course was a Fun Plus Phoenix at the time. And of course, Kale is broken. Well, actually, Kale is crap, and then level up later on should be a beast, but that makes sense. So hey, never mind about that. Top Esports won. It's not the Worlds, it's not MSI, but it's a big tournament. It was a big tournament for them. It's a really big deal. So, on to spring. So, summer. And summer, the new logo, pretty cool, pretty neat. And we're going to talk about Top Esports even more, because same lineup as usual. And lots of changes to other teams. They finish first place for the first time ever. First place in regular season for the first time ever in any year. 13-3, same game difference. Although you can say that head-to-head they beat JDG, so that's probably the reason. And Ironically enough, these two teams will eventually meet here in the grand finals. They JD Top Esports take out of Sunin, JDG take out of LNG, and it's right that these two teams met, and it's right that once again they deliver another barn burner. If I were like a magazine and I would list my rivalry of the year, I can put this one as my back burner because the matches between these two and the matches between these two in the incredible. And while the sequel was not as good, well, not saying that the sequel was good, the original was great. And in the sequel, Vengeance, thy name is Top Esports. Knight in Game 5 on that legendary Syndra. Oh, please go watch that Game 5. The Knight Syndra was phenomenal. Literally balls to the walls kind of beauty by Knight, of course. En route to Top Esports' very first LPL title. Marvelous. And now they're going to Worlds as the #1 team in all of LPL. And the caveat of like favorites to win the whole thing. As you can see, Knight was the best player for the LPL, and he's also the best player for Top Esports. Rephrase it, Knight best player in LPL, bar none, and that final shows it. In fact, he and Jackie Love were finished first team. Knight and Jackie Love, wow. What a dynamic duo. I hope these two will stay there forever and win a lot more titles like this. Anyways, on to Worlds. And, of course, the tournament was taking place in China. They did actually make Worlds, of course, but they decided that they want to do it in a bubble. So, it doesn't matter. We get Worlds. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. To Riot and, of course, some people. But Worlds were taking place in 2020 in China, and LPL team coming in #1, probably the favorites. So Top Esports were coming in like, oh, maybe they have a shot. They have a legitimate shot. So let's see how they do. They were in a Group D, with DRX, FlyQuest, and Unicorns of Love. Okay, not household names, but they managed to finish the group 5-1 pretty comfortably. And then they have to face off against Fnatic. Now, here's a weird thing about this Fnatic series. Fnatic were a decent team back then. I'm not saying they are world beaters today, but Fnatic have a decent lineup. They have Whippo, Self-Made, Nemesis, Reckless, and Hillisang. They still have the best bot laner ever and a YOLO support. They still have a pretty good top laner in Wide Whippo, of course, as they name. And Self-Made is not bad. Nemesis is really okay. I'm not saying okay, as in he's really good until his ego kind of flew off. So, but this team is really, really good, this Fnatic team. And it shows. Also, by the way, they managed to make 2 LEC finals, although losing to G2, the best G2 team, of course, from 2019 into 2020. So there's no shame in there. But they managed to get 2 straight games out of Top Esports. 2-0 in favor of Fnatic. Now, at the time, no team in the history of League of Legends, in World's history, have ever come from 2-0 down to win a series. Top Esports' back was against the wall. And they've realized that they have to win every single game, which, by the way, if you noticed, they did. Karza was named MVP, and Lee Sin, Nidalee, and 2 Lee Sin games, and a Nidalee, and he was incredible. The game after game after game, they broke Fnatic's mental. 29-minute game, then the 26-minute game. Then the classic, Fnatic's team mental's gone, crushing them. We crushed them. 25-minute stomp, game over. Top East was going to the semifinals. And after that series, you must be thinking, okay, that was great, but they nearly lost to Fnatic. They nearly got swept by Fnatic, and it took something incredible to even got there. It took something historic to even beat them. So maybe you should take the next team seriously. The next team seriously was Sunin. Now Sunin going into Worlds as pretty much like an underdog team, like you have been, who was never a known quantity, of course, and then SoFM, one of the best Vietnamese players, pretty much of all time. Angel, Sword Art, who kind of steal all of TS's money after this tournament. And then you got Huang Feng, who I don't know much about it until I look at his story. And I don't know much about Huang Feng until this tournament. I didn't know much about him prior to this tournament. And he was phenomenal. The whole team was phenomenal, Sunin. Now, yes, Top Esports did beat Sunin a couple of times en route to their top finish in LPL. But way back in 2017, when they beat them in the Masia Cup, it kind of had that little bit of like, okay, we're not as good now, but in a couple of years we are going to do. But I never expected, like, Sunin to be that good in that tournament. I was thinking Top Esports should just blow them out. We will have Top Esports in the funnel, and maybe that's great. But to spoil everyone, they did the thing. SoFM was phenomenal. Yeah, Lee Sin, River Shen is a thing, and then you got Jarvan. SoFM was amazing at that time. And unfortunately, Top Esports lost. Top Esports lost to, of all teams, Sunin. And Sunin went on to make the grand finals for probably the only time ever in their org's history. They'll make it a second time, but under a different name. We'll get to that. They went on to lose a down one game. The only game they've won went absolutely crazy on Fiora top and get a pentakill. The only time we see a grand final pentakill ever. And unfortunately for Top Esports, that was their opportunity. That was their opportunity right there. Right there. To make a statement. To make any impact, of course. And they blew it. They absolutely blew it. And this is where the story of Top Esports' international disappointments pretty much began. But hey, listen, Hakeem. They made semifinals of Worlds, okay? They reverse swept Fnatic. They did something they have never done in reverse swept Fnatic. I mean, come on, be happy about it. Be happy. Be absolutely happy about it, okay? They made semifinals of Worlds. And they did it with Jackie Love, with Knight, with 369. Surely next year will be different, right? Surely. So, let's see about next season. So, 2021 spring, you can see that, different logo, of course, that RNG won. And granted, this RNG team was a beast. Wei, Gala, who was phenomenal in that Kaiser game, Gala was the MVP playoff. Xiaohu, Wei, Ming, of course, were MVPs. So, no surprise that this was a really good RNG team. And Top Esports have like the same team, which is great, although their support name is changed to Zhu. Yeah, they replaced their support with Zhu. And they finished third, but again, they were finishing third to two of the best organizations at the time in the LPL. They were like the gold standard of LPL back then, before their inevitable downfall. But EDG, RNG were like pillars of LPL, top dogs, of course. So finishing third is not horrible, and pretty much, losing to them, it's not horrible as well. They lost to EDG 3-0, and then they made it to the lower bracket semifinals. And then they play a really close series, of course. It was a really close series. But RNG won that 3-2. And to twist the knife even further, that win by RNG propelled them to qualify for MSI, which, by the way, They won over Damwon Gaming in 5. And that was when Kaiser was played by Gala in all 5 games. Like, yeah, how do you do that? So, Top Esports could have won that series. Top Esports could have at least gone on and win MSI. Top Esports could have won LPL and then win MSI. But nope, they were placed on the floor for RNG to drag their feet and walk over them towards their title and their glory. It hurts. It hurts them so much. On to summer. Summer 2021. And you notice that, well. Let me just see. Let's just see what we have here. EDG won Worlds. Oh, oh my God! I spoiled the ending. I was going to lead you guys into the LPL season and then EDG win Worlds, but I kind of spoiled the ending. My bad. That hurts. My bad. I spoiled the ending. But let's just talk about let's just talk about how they got there. Yes, Knight wasn't phenomenal. 14 MVPs. He was phenomenal again. And the team was changing their top laner. Get rid of 369 and replaced with King Chingtang. So how did that work out with their top laner? They were horrible. 5, 10, and 6, 5th place, but they didn't make playoffs again, which is great. But look at the team. Look at the team below them. Like Rare Adam at the time of recording this, it's not even exist. They finished below Rare Adam. Like, my goodness, that's just awful. And then to compound the misery, they lost 3-1 to LNG. And while EDG did not, face off or do anything much, they went on to win LPL and then win Worlds. Although Top Esports have another chance. Top Esports have another chance. All they have to do is to qualify for the regional tournament, and they didn't qualify. Have they would have won at least one game, have they would have beaten LNG right here, have they would have won that one series, they could have gone to the Worlds. Think about it, Akeem. They were this close to making the regionals by 10 points. 10 points. How they would make a deeper run, they could have qualified for regionals. Maybe could have qualified for Worlds. But consider the team that they have, it just didn't felt like they were going to do well in Worlds. So, missed opportunity there. And as you can see, EDG went on to win Worlds. They won and only World title with Scout in the helm. So on to 2022, the following season, and RNG done it again. But you notice that Top Esports finished 2nd place. How did they finish second, Nakeem? Well, let's look at their lineup. It's supposed to come up a couple of minutes. Little page thing. Okay, there it is. Zoom top laner, Xiaowin the support, Tian, Knight, Shakilov. Okay, so they made some changes. Wayward, by the way, was named outstanding rookie, but he was not there. That's because he was swapping places with Zoom in the top lane. GDN didn't play, and Wayward was phenomenal. He was a phenomenal rookie and won rookie of the split. Knight and Wayward were incredible. 11 MVPs each in the playoffs. En route to a 5th place finish again, but the Forges will turn around and they beat BLG, they beat Top Esports, And they beat Victory 5, who made an incredible turnaround from being from bottom place team to top. But they couldn't just beat RNG. Lost to RNG the first time around, beat Victory 5 the second time around, and then play in a really close series, but RNG, which is too much. And they went on to win the entire LPL banquet. And then they went on to win probably the worst MSI I have ever watched, or pretty much ever been produced. Ping issues, RNG went in their bedrooms, the format, the whole thing was a mess. But RNG won. Say all you will about everything, RNG won. They went on to win the whole thing, and if it wasn't for Top Esports, RNG could have won their third MSI titles. So again, Top Esports being the doormat for another team's success. To summer, and you notice a little thing. Top Esports being runners-up again. The bridesmaid again. But this time, to JDG. And you notice that JDG's lineup have one familiar name. Can you guess who was the top laner for JDG class? Anybody? Class? Anybody? 369. That's right, kids. Former top laner from Top Esports, 369 on JDG. With Yagao, Hope, Kanavi, and Missin on the lineup. And that lineup was French kiss. In fact, they and Top Esports were 14-2. Both were the best teams all season. And it shows while them making it to the grand finals. In fact, they met in the upper bracket. Although Top Esports series against EDG was kind of like iffy, of course. You know, they were kind of iffy. They didn't manage to win 2 games, of course. They managed to win 3-2, but kind of like iffy. And unfortunately, JDG went on to beat Top Esports in another close series, 3-2. Although Top Esports won 2 games in a row, sadly, they were reverse swept by JDG. And then, yes, they came back and beat EDG and clean swept them, but another close series, JDG, and this time JDG won 2-3-2 series for JDG, 2 wins, and they went on to win Worlds as the #1 seed and LPL champions for only the second time ever. But the good news is, because of their second place finishes, because of both second place finishes, they managed to finish as the LPL second seed right there. So, despite not winning the LPL title, by their performance merit alone, they qualify for Worlds as the second best team in the LPL. And unfortunately for Top Esports, they're about to have one of the most nightmarish games in the history of League of Legends. And if you thought 2022 MSI was bad, holy cow, that will never hold a candle for what World 2022 would have. And unfortunately for Top Esports, our dear friends, it's about to have one of the most controversial matches in pretty much league history. So on to Worlds then. North America, by the way, I get to watch all the matches. Blessed myself. And for anybody who don't know, 4 teams in a group, top 2 go through, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And I mentioned this because this format will change a year later, of course. Because reasons. They were in a group with DRX, Rogue, and Gam. DRX, the miracle team, no one was expecting DRX to do well. They even managed to do top RNG in the play it through like the play-ins in Mexico. Rogue were the champions of the LEC by the clap in G2. And Gam were like the upset merchants of the VC at the time. He and Levi were like joined at the hip. And no matter, and I mean no matter the circumstances, Gam will always prime for an upset. So, I remember this clearly, that, Top Esports finished were like 1-2 at a time. They managed to win their first game. They managed to clap Gam, but lost to Rogue and to DRX of all teams. And going into the last game and going into the final game, the final day of the group stage, they were facing against Gam Esports. Now they needed to win that series to keep any hope alive. But as you all know, some controversial shenanigans were in foot. Now, there were a lot of bugs that happened in League of Legends. There was the Darius bug that happened against JDG for G2. The Oriana bug, of course, that affected Rogue and that caused Oriana to be disabled. The Gnar bug, of course. Those were like things that happened. But those things cost them games and all kinds of stuff. But not as egregious as the situation between Gam Esports and Top. Let's just break this down. It was October 15, 2022. It's the final group stage games for all the teams. So Group C, of course. And Top Esports are deficit spread. They needed to win. You notice that this game ended 41 minutes. But boy, oh boy, the way the game looks, it could have been ended like a lot sooner. So, let's just break this down. So, Top Esports started off the game well. Hold up, that's not it. So, they started off the game pretty decently, of course. TN getting kills. Then Levi was absolutely godsend on the Cartus. Keep that eye on the Cartus, of course, later on. And then, of course, a lot of fighting, a lot of plate stealing, a lot of kills, a lot of stuff. Gam Esports were almost in the back foot. They were pretty well. So around 13 minutes, they were even footing with them. Then, of course, the game went to even state at some point. Tien and Levi were going blow for blow, of course. Dragon towers, all the kind of stuff. And then, around the 30-minute mark, let's just call it the 30-minute mark, the game was on Elder. You notice this is Elder Dragon. And Kati, Levi, it was 4 for 1. They killed all of them. And you're thinking to yourself, they're going to steal Elder, they're going to win the game, they're going to break every Top Esports hearts, and they're going to go through to the finals. Fortunately, Iron Knight, literally, in Shining Iron, Jackie Love, went on to steal the freaking Elder Dragon. Holy Jesus, that was a cool play. And then Knight and Jackie Love went absolute ham at that time. Absolute ham. Killing almost everyone. And then, Ornn, Kaya decided to, kill off all the minions. But hey, listen, they killed them off. They took all the inhibitors. Game is pretty much over. It was a back and forth nail-biting thing. The game was over. And then, the craziness begins. So, Carthus R, which is like the Requiem, was altered. And you notice that one item in the game, there was one item. Yes. It was called the Ma. It was the Ma or Malmitus. I don't know what the name is. But this little item right here was supposed to block all magic damage. So whenever Carthus R was made, it will block the damage. It will block all the magic damage that will happen. And, Jackie Love was kind of almost full health. Was kind of in half health or full health. I know the game, but I just wanted to improvise, of course. So this was supposed to keep, all the damage, magic damage, from affecting your health. You block all the magic damage. That didn't happen. Because have Jackie Love's magic damage being blocked, he could just ult the Nexus and the game would be over. Instead, that didn't happen. Jackie Love was in a slither of health. Kati came back, and the whole entire team get destroyed. And then they march all the way up to the Nexus. One by one, step by step. 5 men up there. Mid inhibitor gone. Mid Nexus turret gone. 2 Nexus turrets. Nexus destroyed. Ball game, 41 minutes, 31 seconds. Top Esports lose. They're eliminated from Worlds. They did manage to win 2 more games, but the damage was already done from that game. And to say that the community was mad about this was a crying statement. The worst part about this whole thing is that Top Esports did not know the bug would exist. They were in the moment. They were about to win the game. And then that incredible, unexplainable thing happened. And maybe they should have just paused the game or notified the referees, of course. Hey, guys, there was a bug, of course. They could have just notified that. And they could have just, like, rewind the game from that certain point without the bug. Top Esports could have known about this and they would have saved, like, a bunch of bacon. They could have saved a bunch of bacon. But it didn't happen. And, in the most brutal of circumstances, GAM Esports wiped the floor in the most controversial way off the dirt of top and into Top Esports Doormat. And it hurts. That thing hurts, you know. To have a bug like that in League of Legends, it happens a lot. But to have a bug that really cost your team an opportunity to go further in Worlds, that hurts so much. And unfortunately for you, Akeem, the story does not end there. Not even a bit. So as you all notice, you notice that Top Esports were in a group with DRX and Rogue. Top Esports did defeat DRX, but DRX defeated them. And they finished top of their group 4-2. Like, alright, Akeem, it's not like DRX were to go on and win the whole freaking world championship. That is absurd. No way a team came from play-ins to going from play-ins to, like, almost losing at world, almost losing at a regionals to go on and win the whole, my goodness. DRX, the team that has, you know, Deft, Pioshik, but all these players, the weirdest thing, went on to defeat Faker and Top Esports 3-2. And I know it's not probably one of the best series ever in terms of storyline. Gameplay, not as much. But in terms of storyline, this is one of the best series ever. Poor little Top Esports. Poor little Top Esports. How they could have won one game against GAM. How they could have beaten GAM in that incredibly controversial bug. And after they won those 2 games, they could have been top of the table. They could have won. And they, not DRX, could have won Worlds. The whole complexion of that Worlds thing could have changed. The whole complexion of Worlds would have been different had it would have been for one bug. And as you all know, it's called the butterfly effect. That one bug led to DRX winning the whole World Championship. Think about it. Think about it really hard. That is incredibly spooky stuff. So, 2023 Worlds, after pretty much a horrific performance, and let's just say horrific way to end their year, they have to dust themselves off and go to Worlds again, and unfortunately they were in the JDG buzzsaw. And the sad part about it is that they took up Knight. Oh, dearie me, dearie me. Yeah, Knight went to JDG and formed pretty much one of the greatest ever teams, to me, ever in League of Legends. If you can watch like you can watch every JDG matchup, and I would say, you know, with your eyes, this is the best team ever. Team finding wise, macro, all this kind of stuff. Look at this lineup. God damn, look at this lineup. 369, Kanavi, Knight, Ruler, Missing, the dream team. Holy Jesus. Ain't no way Top Esports can beat that team. No team can beat them. And it just shows. 13-3. Yes, they got it by better game difference. Top Esports was not even close. 9-7. Jesus. So, What do you have for right? Who? What? What's your replacement for ninth? The greatest, probably the best probably the best mid laner in all of China. Who do you replace him with? Rookie. Like rookie, of course he won Worlds in 2018, but rookie for ninth. And it was not a great deal, to be honest. And unfortunately for Top Esports, they lost to OMG. They lost to OMG, yeah, of all teams. 3-2, close series. Fortunately, they lost to OMG, who were making a decent run, making to like finish fourth place, beside fourth place. And that OMG lineup have Shanji, Aki, Abel, PP God, don't laugh, and Cream. Cream will be vital to the opponents of Top Esports later on. He was phenomenal, and so does OMG. That was like Dom's, lovable team. His team that he really loves. And unfortunately for Top Esports, there would be no love there next season. JDG, by the way, went on to win MSI. Knight finally got his MSI trophy. His international trophy after all these years. Being tortured in Top Esports, never winning anything, being at the butt end of the most controversial decision ever. And now he goes to JDG, form a dominant team, and went on to win MSI. I mean, it was not pretty, of course. They and T1 were like credible teams back then. But JDG went on to win the whole thing. And then JDG went on to win LPL again. Top Esports did fine. They finished fourth. But after that first split, I'm just not sure they're going to be qualified for Worlds. We'll see. Scout was phenomenal, of course. Scout was phenomenal that season. That was the summer of Scout. Scout revitalized his career, of course. There was nothing that Top Esports can do. Rookie was incredible in some parts, but even he cannot carry this team. Finished in fourth, improvement from last season by 3 wins, not bad. But you got LNG with Scout, JDG with Knight, and BLG. Let's see how this BLG do. Woof. Bin, Joan, Yagao, Elk, and On. And that was not, and BLG at the time was kind of like an iffy team, but never like the dominant team that it was in that part. And that was in a 2 stretch, and that was almost in a 2-year stretch when BLG was like the dominant team. Besides JDG. So again, Top Esports against those 3 best teams, nothing can do there. And it shows by losing to BLG in that upper bracket final, and then losing to LNG in the lower bracket finals. And they finished fourth, beside the 3 best teams in LPL at the time. So again, no shame in them. But do they make Worlds after making 60 points? So, let's see. And they do. They didn't make regionals. Huzzah! Wait. Weibo Gaming. How did Weibo Gaming get there? Like, I get it from... listen, I get it from championship points perspective. But, Weibo Gaming finished in, second in the regionals and qualified for Worlds. How did they do that? How did they do this? Oh, no. They lost to Weibo Gaming 3-2. And that Weibo Gaming at the time was Cadrill's love child. And the Shy's. And Cadrill's love child is a Shy. Shout out to him. And they had the Shy, Wei, Yahoo, Lightning Crips. This team make it to Worlds. Instead of, well, to be honest, this team was like not good enough to make it. But Jackie Love, poor Jackie Love, cannot even catch a break. But it's not like, this Weibo Gaming team is going to make it all the way to like Worlds, of course. And even the finals. Oh, yeah, they did make finals. They did make finals. They did make finals and lose to T1 pretty much at a sweep. In a finals that, let's be honest, no one saw it coming. In fact, everybody knew that T1 would win. And let's be honest, the way Weibo Gaming got to the finals was kind of like fraudulent, to be honest. In case you haven't noticed, the whole system changed. They have a GSL groups, and then they have the Swiss stage, and they beat an NRG, Mad Lions, and a fraudulent Fnatic team at a time. And en route to their finals, they beat NRG, who miraculously beat T1, G2 of all teams. And then BLG, who, by the way, I feel like BLG could have been in the finals as well instead of top. And unfortunately, it did not happen. And then they made it to the finals, and then T1 just clapped them. Straight upside. No chance. Top Esports could have won this series. And then they could have beaten EDG. And let's be honest, this EDG was... They have Uzi, but not much else. And Mako. They have Uzi and Mako, but not much else. And they could have beat Weibo. They could have beat EDG. They could have qualified Worlds. They could have been in the finals. They could have... I'm not saying... Listen, T1... No one was expecting T1 to even win the whole thing. But they could have given T1 their money. That was supposed to be T1... Top Esports in the Grand Finals. That could have been Top Esports right there. In the Grand Finals. Right there. Right there, Top Esports could have won. But it failed. Weibo Gaming lay up their doormat and just rub their feet all over Top Esports in embarrassing fashion, and they use it towards the most unbelievable run from regionals to nearly put in a DRX and make the finals. Oh boy, at this point, this is the team in a nutshell. This whole team has decent talent. Whenever they have an opportunity to capitalize the thing, they're just like disappoint themselves. So the following season, 2024 spring, and this time is BLG's turn to kick everybody's ass. And would you look at that? They bet BLG grab Knight after JDG nearly, and I mean nearly, win Worlds. If it wasn't for Kanavi choking in that finals and Faker being Faker, we could have talked about JDG becoming the greatest team ever and won the Golden Road. We could have talked about that. Instead, team lost, whole team blew up. BLG were the beneficiaries of grabbing Knight, and it showed. But the good news about that breakup is that they grabbed back 369. Welcome back, brother. And they grabbed their young star from OMG, Cream, with Mako from that EDG lineup, and Tien. So, how did they do in that standings? Well, they finished second place to BLG, but that was that BLG team was really strong, 15-1. And no surprise to anybody, they lost to BLG the first time around. And then they'd finally get revenge against JDG, but that was a JDG team that no longer superior. And then they went on to lose to Top Esports again. So, yeah, BLG were a really dominant team at the time. No surprise. 15-1, dominated LPL, went on to go to Worlds. Sorry, MSI, of course. The good news about this thing is that MSI was different. After the 2022 debacle and the whole thing, they decided to change the format to make it probably the best format that I ever watched. And probably make MSI the second best tournament besides Worlds. They decided to send 2 teams per region to the mid-season invitation. And guess what? Top Esports, by finishing second, is going to the mid-season invitation for the first time ever. So how do they do? Well, they are going to play in the play-in stage, of course. And you notice that... Oh, wait. Where are the play-in stage? Hold up. They're supposed to be in the play-in stage. Although I can say that they managed to ease through the play-in stage, no problem. Yeah, they did. I think they beat. Yeah, okay, there it is. So they beat Loud Esports, ugh, and then they beat a crappy Fnatic team. Ugh. So not much there. So they're through to the MSI, and then the gauntlet of the bracket. Holy Jesus! Look at that bracket. That, ladies and gentlemen, is an esports bracket. No group stage, no switch stage thing. That is a esports bracket. That's a League of Legends bracket that I would love. I would marry to an esports bracket right now. I would. They beat Team Liquid, no surprise there. And then they lost in a really close matchup to Genji, who at the time were like the best LCK team ever. And they have some stars. Kid, Clid, Canyon, Chovy, Pez, Nahans. Okay, not much superstars. Pez was okay, but not great. But they got Chovy. They got Chovy and Canyon. That's pretty much good. And if you and losing to them is not even the saddest part. Like losing 3-2, really close series. Not much to say, of course. And they managed to make it to the lower bracket, which means they have to win like every single series. And their next opponent was G2. G2 was also a decent opponent. Broken Blade, Yike, Caps, Hansam, and Mickey X. They're not like 2019 great, but they're like the second best team since the 2019 Super Team. They were pretty dominant in LEC. Albeit the LEC was kind of like a one-team region, but man, they make that one-team region look decent. And they got clapped. Top Esports got absolutely clapped. Not even close. The series was not even close to begin with. 3-0. Like, God Almighty, Top Esports, you're going from battling a really good team from Gen G to lose it to G2 like that. What a crying shame. And unfortunately for Gen G, they used that victory over Top Esports. They used that battle-tested result against Top Esports to win against BLG, and then after BLG beat T1 against BLG again. Thanks to their win over Top Esports, Gen G went on to win their first international title, giving Chovy his first international buff. And it's all thanks to Top Esports. But how Top Esports won that series? We're going to talk about, Gen G crushing G2, although I can say that G2 have a chance. And then, who knows, Top Esports could have maybe go on and win the whole thing. Maybe, but to be fair, BLG and Gen G were kind of like the 1 and 2 best teams in the world at that time. So it will be not a shocking if they were to lose to both teams. But man, it could have been the finals. Man, it could have been a top 3 team. At least a top 3 team. Maybe a top 2 team at least. But it didn't happen. And unfortunately, they got embarrassed by losing to, of all teams, a pretty good G2 squad. My goodness, another doormat for G2 to just step up. To European teams. Like, losing to LPL, losing to LCK, I'm fine with it. But you're not losing to European teams. To the LEC of all teams. My goodness. To Summer LPL. And BLG still dominant, win the whole world thing. And then they finish, and then, the format is different. So after all these regular season formats that we have accustomed to, they decided to change it up a bit, to spice things up, of course. In which they decided that we are going to separate 4 teams into 5 groups. Well, 5 teams in one group, but 4 groups each. Top 2 teams will go through one side of the bracket, and the bottom teams will go to another side of the bracket. Top Esports dominated group over LNG, Rare Items, and OMG, 6-0, perfect. And now they're in to Ascend. And holy Jesus, Like, they were in San and Nevada. I mean, look at these teams. Even EDG. Look at EDG. Look at EDG. Look at RNG. Look at Team WE. These were teams that, like, older League of Legends fans should know about. IG. They were like the poster childs for LPL, and they're in a group that nobody even watched. Times change, of course. But my God, look at this team. Look at this. BLG, LNG, JDG for some parts. Weibo was even decent. The top Esports finished 6-2, but LNG and BLG were way better than them. So that qualified them to the playoffs, same playoff format as always. And they managed to make it to the upper bracket final after beating anyone's Legend and LNG. And then they lost to BLG. And then they went to the lower bracket and lost to Weibo Gaming. Jesus Christ. Okay, how bad is Weibo Gaming? How really bad is Weibo Gaming? Okay, that was Yahoo's coming out party, of course. Tarzan was pretty okay. Breed was fine. Okay, so it's not the rookie, the crazy Weibo team with the Shy, of course, last year. This was a solid team. I don't think losing that, but my God, if you could have won one game, you could have faced off against, BLG. Now, yes, BLG would have gone on to win and sweep Weibo Gaming. So I don't think nobody could beat them, but you could have been the top 2 team. Could have been the top 2 team again. Good news is, thanks to your performances, based on championship points, you qualify for Worlds again as the 2nd seed. Pretty good stuff. And as you all notice, they were going in to the groups, the Swiss state form of Worlds. Now, Worlds were taking place in Europe, of course. And Top Esports were a decent team. They were not the favorites, but they were kind of messy in some cases. They were like D plus Kia in the most messy way. Their games were messy. They were not coordinated much. They and DK have like joint in the hip in like really iffy gameplay. And it shows in this tournament that they were not great. In fact, hell, yes, they beat T1, but that was T1 in their regular season element. They lost to Gen G, best team ever, and then they beat Fnatic, whatever. And then they 2-0 D plus Kia, which, to be honest, D plus was horrifically bad. They were horrifically bad. But they made the playoffs, of course, as a top 5 team. I don't know. Swiss stage is weird. And they get to face off against, oh, Jesus, T1 again. And yes, while they beat T1 in a best of 1 setting, in a best of 3, in a best of 5, when T1 decided that playing the meta is not working, let's just, play our own comfort picks, they beat them. They throttled them. Like, this series was the only series that doesn't have like a memorable moment. Like How to Life Esports, I think How to Life Esports versus, I think this was a series when you have the double Galio ult. I think this was a series. Yeah, this was a series with the double Galio ult. Yeah, it was cool. It was the coolest thing about the series, but it didn't matter because Top Esports T1 just destroyed them. In fact, this was probably the only sweep, the only underwhelming series. I mean, even the Gen G FlyQuest team was attractive. T1 went on to win Worlds by beating Top Esports, beating Gen G, and beating BLG in probably one of my favorite series of Worlds. It's one of my favorite series ever at Worlds. It was great from a team play perspective. And while we were robbed about a really good Gen G BLG final, the T1 versus BLG final was fine. It was a good final, of course, so I have no pain for that. But I don't think Top Esports will not hold a candle for them. Not with this lineup. Not with the line. I mean, let's be honest. Not with a lineup that is like, 369, Tien, and, you know, Jackie Love and Mako. Look at this team. But also, Cream was kind of like inexperienced, so I'll give him some slack. This team was just like, got there by merit, of course. And now we have reached into today's Top Esports. Now, this is the first split of the whole tournament. Cream, Jackie Love, and 369 put up decent performances. And different format at the time, but they finished top. They finished second place beside Anyone's Legends, and to be fair, Anyone's Legends was a beast of a team, like a really beastly team. Flandre, Tarzan, Shanks, Hope, Kale, and they got Tabi as coach. That team was no pushover, and they finished 3-0 by them. But of course, they finished 3-0, good for them. And they made it to the playoffs. They made it to the knockout stage of the playoffs, where they have to overcome Invictus Gaming, then Ninjas of Pajamas, then BLG, then JDG, and then they beat Anyone's Engine to win the whole thing. Oh my goodness! Top Esports came from absolutely nowhere to win the LPL title by dropping 5 games en route to the final. They were doing gentleman sweeps after gentleman sweeps. So, my goodness. It was incredible. It was so incredible. I mean, Top Esports performed incredibly well in that split. And now, they are going to the brand new international tournament called First Stand. Now, you notice that I did not mention how they won the whole thing. Well, one, because of talent alone, not very much makes sense. But also, to a dear old friend called Fearless. Yep. Oh, yeah. This is going to be crazy. Now, at the time of recording, Fearless is now becoming a forever thing. Whether Fearless will be good for League of Legends, that is going to be for the long term, of course. It's the short-term gain for long-term success kind of thing. But Fearless is pretty much simple. You pick a champion from the series, and that champion is gone for the rest of the series. You pick Kennen in that series, no Kennen for the rest of the game, or the rest of the series. So Top Esports got the benefit of playing different champions at different times, but having incredible resilience, incredible talent. And maybe that will bode well for First Stand. Maybe that team, can win the First Stand tournament and put LPL back on the map. Let's see how they will do in First Stand. Let's see the table, ladies and gentlemen. Third, fourth place. All right. Okay. Cool. Top 4. Maybe they're just like the second best team ever, right? Maybe they're just the second best. Oh no. Well, as you can see, Top Esports' one and only win was against Team Liquid, and of all the teams that qualified for the semifinals, they had the lowest ever game score of 2-6. Team Liquid were better than them in score. And because of them beating Team Liquid, they managed to go through. But the way they performed was just, oh my goodness. It was awful, especially Jackie Love. Shout out to Initialize, who, by the way, Nightmare's brother. He mentioned that Jackie Love doubled his kills, his depths average by 2.3. Which is double. 2.3 in the LPL, 4.6 in this whole tournament. Jackie Love was awful, and they lost to Flying Oyster, which nobody would expect Flying Oyster to be like incredible. They were supposed to be the last place team. And Carmen Corp, who were, I was expecting them to be awful, but they put up a decent showing. And surprising to no one, they lost to Hot Life Esports. 3-0. It was not even close. And they went on to win the whole thing, not without a little push by Calvin Corp. And Honor Life Esports, won the whole thing with Fearless. So, yeah. What have we learned here today? This logo pretty much sums up everything about Top Esports. There are two champions in League of Legends that I kind of know of that use its shields. Braum and Leona. Shields are important to protect its damage. To protect damage from killing you or hurting the other team or do anything like that. Instead, the Top Esports shield has been used as a doormat for so many teams. Honor Life Esports, T1, Weibo Gaming, RNG, JDG, so many teams were using Top Esports as a doormat to further their success. Top Esports at the time of recording have won 3 LPL titles and no international tournaments. And their international tournaments has been so night and day. Even the name, even the player himself, Knight, it's just, he's the best mid laner ever, and he never got his dues. He never got his championship until he moved on to another team. And they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. To the point that I'm not sure if Top Esports can ever have another international tournament success ever again. Or even if they do, I just don't think the Top Esports are ever going to compete against so many international success. It hurts. I get it. It really hurts. But they're just a doormat to just be stepped on, scrape on their boots, get rid of the mud, get rid of the feces, all the kind of stuff. And then once you finish scraping off the mat, you step at home, you meet your family, you meet your parents, while this inanimate object does nothing to speak, nothing to scream, nothing to do anything, nothing to cry about. It's just there to be stepped on, to be, move away so that other teams have success. They will sadly be the doormat of League of Legends. That is the end of my video. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.